Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour is presented by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide.
The glorious Baroque splendour of Dresden is the backdrop to tour stop number 2 on the Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour for this season. Hello and welcome, and stand by, Eurosport bowling fans, for more high-rolling action from the US Play Centre here in the capital city, restored to its former glory in Saxony in the former East Germany. Well, we were here last spring, and for those of us who made the trip, I can tell you in Dresden, they really do love their sport. And of course, as the old East Germans used to, they honour sportsmen at all levels. And bowling here has been welcomed with open arms. And you can just see here from these scenes how many people around the Dresden area are getting involved with this. A game that's growing in great popularity across Europe, helped considerably by our coverage, extensive live coverage for you on Eurosport. Well, today it's the turn of the men to get us underway. Our second tour stop after Hamburg, as we said, and excuse me, and those are the guys who've made it into the final 4, the guys there who just missed out from 5 down to 8. Harry Helm, although he only made 8th position, to miss out on the stepladder final, is actually leading overall in the ranking points position that goes towards next spring's Masters final. That will be in Lille, France. Out come the Gladiators to roll off for the big prize today. And so we go from seeds 4 to 1, beginning with Holger Friedmann from Mannheim, just 24 years of age, making it into his first stepladder final appearance on the Golden Bowling Ball Tour. A season campaigner, his opponent, however, Olli Hossi from Helsinki, seeded in 3rd place. A great campaigner around the bowling scene over the past decade, and a very tough opponent for the young German. So the only German amongst the final 4, waiting in the wings, we have the Swede Tomas Leandersson, and then we have another Swede in top position, Johan Damberg. Away we go in game 1 with the Finn first up, 2 right-handers going head-to-head, 10 frames to decide the winner to stay in the competition. Winner takes all, those are the rules. And in 15 minutes' time, we'll know who succeeds to go on and meet Leandersson, the 2nd seed. Olli Hossi, his pin average, 230. Got him into the final 4. He starts with a 7 spare, taking out the 2-5-8. So, having the honour to begin the game, Olli will also finish. It means his opponent, Holger Friedmann, will post the score that Olli knows he'll need to beat if he's to advance. From Mannheim, where they have a very strong bowling setup, have produced a number of German champions, and they're in the top division of the ultra-competitive German bowling league. So something of a warm-up shot too from Holger. And he's left looking at a 1-2 conversion to pick up his spare from the first frame, which he does so. Now he'll stay up for frame 2, and then both players alternately will bowl 2 back-to-back frames. That's how we get through the game of 10-pin bowling, and that's a replay look at Holger's first frame spare. Both guys playing a deep inside line, looking for 4th arrow as their guide down the 60 feet that separates the foul line from the pack. Making sure that everything is correct from set-up point of view. The ball's on its way. Here comes the hook into the pocket, and the result is all 10. Spare strike start for Holger Friedmann, the first man to strike in game 1. One of the top lady bowlers, Patricia Schwartz, alongside Holger this afternoon. Now, Olli Hossi is a development manager in the computer business. Solid strike from him too, as both guys matching each other's games so far. Well, consistency was Olli's middle name here over the weekend. And that 230 average, he was locked into that through round 1 with a 1382 pin average. It kept him in 3rd place, and exactly the same through the 2nd round as well. As the field gets whittled down, first cut is 88 places. The top 88 go through to the 2nd round, and then a final round robin series. Olli remained in 3rd place throughout, bowling around that steady 230 average. The Grankula Club in Helsinki is Olli's base for his bowling, and that'll do very nicely indeed. Doubling up in frames 2 and 3, the Finn will have an early lead here. Like the shot, and wheels away to sit down. Now, this will be frames 3 and 4 back to back for the youngster Holger Friedmann. Now, first look at him. Out on the Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour. And absolutely nothing between them so far, as you see from the score graphic. They're both underway with 20 pins to their name in frame 1. As a simple rule of thumb, just remember that for frame scoring, a spare is worth 10 bonus points and a strike is worth 20. And still nothing between them through the first 4 frames for each man. The elder by 9 years, Olli Hossi, who now steps forward to frame 5, would have been favourite to take this game simply by dint of his years of experience throughout all the major European tours, and you can see he's 3 times made the perfect score in various Golden Bowling Ball competitions over the seasons. There's another one too, right off the hand all the way. Right in the sweet spot. There was never going to be anything but a strike for the Finn. And we've made the point before, it's worth mentioning once again, of course, it's almost the national winter sport up there. No wonder that the Finns consistently bring back gold medals from international competitions. That's not a bad one either. Well, that's now 5 in a row since they both warmed up with spares in frame 1. Neither player has even looked like missing. There's the bite point as the ball hooks back in for the right-hander into that 1-3 pocket. And striking all the way 4 in a row now. Big 4-bagger for Hossi. And pressure again as Holger looks to play catch-up. It's his 5th frame ball, and it wasn't a bad shot by any means. Pins just didn't help him out down in the back ends, all around that 9 pin, but no contact. So his strike sequence breaks after 3 in a row. And that does indeed now put daylight between him and his opponent, Hossi, moving into a 10-pin lead at the midpoint. damage limitation time. There goes the pink spare ball. Not looking for any rotation or hook on that one. And right on the nose. But a spare in frame 5 drops him 10 pins back. And those frame scores from the Finn in 4 and 5 still to be filled, because a strike is worth 10 plus your next 2 shots as the bonus. Frame 6 for the German. Now that is a poor shot. Way too far right. Perhaps just catching a little too much oil, and the ball sliding further than Friedmann anticipated or would have liked, so he misses the bite point. Nowhere could get back to the pocket, and that's the big leave. 1, that's the head pin. 2, 4, and to the right 6 and 10. So washout, difficult shot, doesn't get it. So 5 and 6. Unlucky frames for Holger, unlucky in the 5th, but a poor shot in the 6th. Vice President from the Brunswick Corporation here in Europe, Alain Winterhout, who never misses a tour stop. A very knowledgeable man indeed, and knows the bowling business inside out. And his company put together the US Play Center here, 6,000 square feet of it. It's a multi-leisure complex in a shopping center in Dresden on the banks of the River Elbe. And a great success story it's been too. Well, just as Olli really had momentum behind him and the position to open up an even bigger lead after seeing his opponent open in the 6th, he lets a loose one roll off the fingers, and a 2-5-8 leave in frame 6 breaks his sequence of 4 strikes in a row. So his spare ball choice to take down the 2-5-8. Nice tight grouping, shouldn't be a problem, and indeed isn't. So now we can fill in those missing frame scores for you, and 1-2-7 through the 5th for the Finn, and 1-1-4 for Holger at the same point, and then just that weak 7 count in frame 6, so 1-2-1, and this will see Olli Hossi put himself in a good position to go on and win this game, but that's another rather tentative effort from this Finnish international. And this time he's got a 3-6-10. All down the right-hand side of the pack. And let's see what happened here. Notice the uncoordinated bowling shoe. One blue, one white. And he just came up too heavy on the 1 pin. Too much rotation that time for Olli. So back-to-back spares. It still keeps the game alive, and certainly by no means puts Holger Friedmann out in the cold just yet. But he's produced the only open frame so far of game 1 between the 4th and 3rd seeds. Germany playing Finland, and not surprisingly, all the Dresden public hoping that Holger can carry the colours and go forward at least to the next game, if not perhaps to win the title here in Dresden overall. Needs a good shot now to come back. No, again, he goes too far across the lane from right to left as he releases there, misses the pocket. You see how he carves through the centre of the pack, and just like his opponent in the last frame also leaves that 3-6-10. Faithful spare ball does the business again, but it's not helping him pull in Olli. The deficit remains 20 plus, 23 to be precise. Both guys are working on a spare as we go forward to the 8th frame. Three frames remaining now. Interesting that Olli Hossi should have Stefan Ingstrom alongside him today, a Swede coaching a Finn. That's almost unheard of between those arch rivals in 10-pin bowling. So that's a better shot from Holger Friedmann. Keeps himself alive in this game, but it's tense. And we'll find out who wins after this short break. Welcome back. It's Olli Hossi in frame 8 with a handy 23-pin lead, and he's within sight of the finishing line. A man who came out this season on tour saying his ambition was to finally win a tour stop on the Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour. Well, he won the Leandersson Cup in Sweden in 1994, the Scandinavian Team Championship in 1995, and a doubles Golden Bowling Tour title in 91. But as a singles player, no luck so far in this particular event, the prestige blue ribbon event across European bowling. Working behind a strike in the 8th, a good shot here in the 9th. He doesn't get it and would have all but secured victory. So this is a game that I don't think Holger can win so much as Olli can lose by throwing it away. He was clean from frames 2 through 5, remember, he had a big 4-bagger then. And now we've seen 7 spare counts in 6 and 7. And this is got to be good. It is a 6 spare in frame 9. And it gives him a total of 184 through the 8th, but a couple of strikes back-to-back here would have closed the door on the 24-year-old from Mannheim. A player whose ambition is just to get into the German national team at the moment. And there's a rather nervous-looking supporter of Holger Friedmann. However, he is working on a strike from frame 8, and he now has 9 and 10 back-to-back. And a strike like that, plus a big 10th frame, will post the score that Olli Hossi has to beat. Now this is where it all gets very tense indeed. Remember, Holger was behind through frame 7 by 20 pins. 164 playing 141. They both struck in the 8th, so no change there. Now he's got 10 of them back in the 9th. A strike against his opponent's spare, but still behind, and this is his final frame. 3 strikes, and he's got 231, which, considering where he was after frame 5, 114, would be a very, very good score indeed. Gunnar Samuelsson on the right there with the beard and his wife, and Chard down from Norrköping. A winner on the tour last season. Now strike at the top of the 10th. 2 bonus balls to come for Holger. He's really giving himself a great chance here. Victory slipping through the fingers of Olli Hossi. Another strike to take the lead, but it will all be in Olli's hands because he finishes, remember. Drawing down support from the fans in Dresden. He's getting fired up, Holger. He has timed his run superbly. As always, our match official throughout the season is Armin Speckman there, alongside Brunswick's Alain Winterhalter. And this is the final shot in game 1 for Holger. Now, is he coming back for more in game 2? Well, he nearly did get the 4-bagger to finish. In fact, a 5-bagger, because he had 4 in a row, 8, 9, then 2 at the top of the 10th, and then a 9 count, 230, the final score. He's pretty pleased with that too. For the only time in this game, and it comes in the final frame, the pressure is on the fin. He needs 2 strikes and 7 to win. 3 spares from the last 4 frames have put him in a position where he now cannot win. And Holger Friedmann's sprint to the line has seen him put out The number 3 seed, a real upset here in game 1. Well, Olli was cruising through the first 5 frames, and it's all gone wrong for him. The only time he's behind is where it matters, in the 10th frame. It's like a golfer throwing away a 6-shot lead with 7 holes to play. So rolling out now with a strike at the end of his 10th and final frame with that bonus ball. The 2-2-2 count is 8 below his average for the weekend, and it's also not good enough to see him through to the second game. Holger Friedmann then a surprise win, a big upset in game 1, 8 pins the difference. It all came good for the German there at the end with that burst of 4 strikes in a row, 8, 9 and 10, whereas he did the damage. So Tomas Leandersson, another very experienced and gritty opponent from Sweden, finishing here in the 2nd seeded position, will now provide the next test for young Holger. Well done to him, and goodbye, Olli. So the semi-final matchup then for a place in the grand final this season. The 2nd year we've come back to Dresden. And once again, a huge crowd. They really do pour into the cavernous centre at the Elba Park shopping complex. Our old friend Tomas Leandersson, we're used to seeing him now. He was, of course, in that World Team Championship event we brought you on Eurosport last month. Was it November? Yes, it was. From Amsterdam, where the Swedes were victorious. So, Tomas Rolf Leandersson, 32 years of age, from Karlskoga. 97 Irish Open, 97 Jersey Open, 97 British Open. Hat-trick of titles in the United Kingdom and in Ireland for Tommy 2 years ago. So just getting himself warmed up there with a spare in frame 1. Now, how will Holger go in game 2? Well, does he carry the adrenaline forward from game 1, where he really did finish with a spectacular burst of strikes? Crowd helping it on its way too, and they're really beginning to get behind the one German representative left in the men's stepladder final. Just a little dab in the rosin bag there to get the fingers nice and dry. And picking up where he left off from game 1. Now Holger has to channel that energy, focus that adrenaline rush he's obviously got from winning the first game, and focus in all his energies on taking out a very dangerous opponent in the second game, Tomas Leandersson from Sweden, a man who's won so many titles in the past decade, including World Championships, gold in the men's doubles at Reno, Nevada in '95, a bronze way back in '91. That really did herald his arrival on the world scene. And he's never lost his enthusiasm, his drive, his ambition, and his flawless professionalism. I will say that about Tommy. I last met up with him at the Les Lion Cup in Norrköping last Easter. Hadn't seen him for a while. And courteous, polite, and always a gentleman. Tomas Leandersson not liking that result of his shot in frame 2. 4-6-7. It's a nasty one. Well, this looks like an open frame coming up for the Swede in the second frame. It is 26 to count after 2. And the features say it all. Left foot 6 inches in front of the right. And another poor shot from the right-hander. There's Bettina Lund in the middle of your frame. top lady bowler, born in Denmark, now resident in the Netherlands. Missed the headpin by a mile. And that's another horrible, horrible conversion. 1, 2, 4, 10. 10's going to be the problem. Is it going to be 2 opens back-to-back for Leandersson? Oh, it is. That's a disastrous start to this game from the second seed. Well, 2-3-1 his average to make this stepladder final. His coach at home is Magnus Jonsson, who's busy today doing the commentary of this event for our Swedish viewers on Eurosport. A national team member since 1988, and trailing to a man who's yet to break into the German national side, who now has 3 in a row. Turkey time. That's his finishing position, well clear of the foul line. Nice deep knee bend. And the right-hander's finishing on that left foot. You see, like his opponent, he just advances the left foot there on the approach, and then the step away, and that deep inside line again for the right-hander. Based in southwest of Germany, not surprising that Holger himself is a Kaiserslautern football fan. Relaxes away from the bowling lanes with a little Italian and Greek cuisine, and listening to the music of U2 and Phil Collins. Well, he's certainly calling the tune so far in this second game between the 4th seed and the all-conquering Swede, who simply hasn't struck any rhythm at all so far in this game. He really has a mountain to climb if he's to claw back the deficit. The World Amateur Bowler of 1993, that is the top award for any bowlers outside of the USA, the only country that runs a fully fledged pro tour, of course. So you really are looking at a giant in world bowling terms here in Tommy Leandersson. And after 3 frames, take heart, all you leisure bowlers who'll be out there this weekend at your bowling centre. Tommy had a woeful 34 pin count after the first 3 frames and 2 opens behind a 9 spare. Not impossible to come back, but Holger will have to go to pieces if Leandersson is to stay alive. Well, a double in frames 4 and 5 will help. This is a man really capable of going out and bowling 8 strikes in a 10-frame match. And anything around 220, 230 is nothing less than he'd expect to score. And that's way, way too far right from Holger, this time in frame 5. That's our website, by the way, for all tour information, www. I hope you got the rest of that. On we go. I'm sure we'll bring that up for you again later in the show. So Holger now looking as if he's going to put together 2 spares back-to-back after his turkey trot through the first 3 frames. But he was 30 pins to the good in frame 4. And he gets his spare in frame 5, so Leandersson edging back into things. Could be tense. Find out what happens after this.
take the same route to the local pro shop.
Welcome back, and the 1991 Helsinki Ball Masters champion, the 1993 World Bowling Writers Bowler of the Year, Tomas Leandersson, staring down both barrels here against the young German sensation from Mannheim, who's continued his great form from game one. And the adrenaline rush continues for Holger Friedmann, with another strike coming in frame 6. Just what he needed to. That was his first since the third. He spared on the last 2 visits to the foul line. So Tomas Leandersson with 2 strikes in 4 and 5, hoping very much that he can stay in touch with a turkey of his own. It's not to be. Good shot. Just missed that 2-pin. Well, Tommy changed his ball after the second of those 2 open frames in the third. That's the Storm spare ball he's using. And a return to the furrowed brow of the guy they call the sunny boy of Swedish bowling normally. Oh, and he just got away with that, otherwise he had another big split. In frame 7. Look how wide he goes to the left on the delivery. And thanks to that little tap, he just leaves himself the 10-pin. Sparkle on that Storm ball, away it goes, does the business. So 2 spares come in 6 and 7 after 2 strikes in 4 and 5. Had 83 through the midpoint. He's pacing around the 160 mark. That is poor by Tommy's standards. The boys back in Mannheim will certainly be enjoying every moment of this, as I'm sure Holger himself now is. Goes across on the Brooklyn side in the 7th. Well, we've seen him carry too far down the oil a couple of times and not get back to the pocket. That time he was too far with the rotation. Oh, that's a bad miss. Slips by the 9-pin. So his first open frame, 1-4-3 in the 7th. Now this is the moment that Tommy has to make Holger pay for that error. Helping it on its way. Wanted a good response after the open frame in the 8th. Didn't get it. It was a high hit. And 4-7 is the leave. So he's faltering now, just as Olli did in game 1. It's always hard, of course, to lead from the front for all 10 frames. Routine spare for the right-hander on the more comfortable left-hand side. And there on the left of your screen, Holger's parents looking on, who've made the trip up from Mannheim today. Now, Tommy, this has got to be do or die. No! And it's not gone. 9-pin remains standing. Just not enough force to take it down. So he's got another horrible split in the 8th. Well, he pulled within 20 pins. That was an improvement from the midpoint at frame 5. 115 playing 83. And another strike there. He could have got to within 10 pins of the German. But I'm afraid in a 10-frame match, if you've had 3 open frames, you are not giving yourself a shot. Well, Tommy looks like a man in a hurry now, which indeed he is, because his flight schedule was very tight as we came into this televised final, and he was wondering whether, in fact, making the final game itself would have caused him to miss his plane back to Sweden. There's going to be no danger of that now, because Leandersson is out of the tournament, and he knows it. So Holger, with all the pressure off, Just a spare here in the 9th frame. A strike will clinch it for him. But it's a day where normally ultra-competitive bowler Tommy Leandersson has folded like a pack of cards. I can't remember the last time I saw Tommy run out with 3 open frames in a 10-frame televised final match. Great disappointment then for him and his followers, and he really hasn't given Friedmann any kind of test in this semi-final. But it happens sometimes, even to the very best. And Leandersson is going to bowl a very ordinary return indeed, the kind that many, many thousands of people up and down the country will be scoring over the weekend and then suddenly begin to think, hey, I'm a better bowler than I thought. So a big open coming up in the 10th frame for Holger at just the right time, really, when it doesn't matter. So down goes the count. He's only managed a modest 191 himself. It became a little patchy in the second half of the game where the conditions possibly are changing or breaking down. The long carry on the oil seemed to confuse the players, not least Tommy, who's going to finish in 3rd position on tour stop 2 in Dresden. And this final shot of the tournament for him for a 158 count, and he doesn't even pick up the 10. So there it is, a very ordinary 157 indeed. Lackluster stuff from Leandersson, who just hasn't done himself justice at all. However, he'll be hoping compatriot Johan Damberg can keep the blue and yellow flag of Sweden flying high, because the top seed takes on the German outsider in our grand final on tour stop number 2 in Dresden. The German from Mannheim at 24 against Damberg. Well, we haven't seen him figure before, but you can bet your life that if he's been schooled in the Swedish tradition, 30 years of age from Gothenburg, this is another mighty bowler to come out of that Scandinavian country. Our first look then at the top seed. Away he goes, and no nerves at all from him. How unlike the 2 previous contenders seen off by our German opponent. They opened with spares. Not so Damberg. Now Holger has nobody to fear whatsoever, having put out both Olli, Hossi and of course Tommy Leandersson. They are quality bowlers. He's into frame 2. Can he make it a double? Now he had that high hit at the end of the last game. And once again the 4-7 lead. Leave. Both boys opening with a strike. A little bit thin, but pin action does the rest, and strike spare 20 into frame 1 is the score. 4th seed playing top seed. Is it going to be an afternoon of upsets at the US Play Center here in Saxony? Oof. Well, you see there, Johan, the left-hander. No one's been down that track before, and he almost overdid it. Flirted with the channel and just brought it back in time to give himself an 8 count, but it was a poor shot. So he picks up the spare with a little flutter to the heart, I'm sure. Now, this is going to be intriguing, because for the last hour, every ball has gone down the right-hand side of both TV lanes, 22 and 23. And over there, the oil is largely undisturbed. So Johan has possibly a different lane condition to his opponent. He's not getting it right in frame 3 either, shooting for spares once again. He can do it. Strike 2 spares to open. .237, the average over the weekend of qualifying that put Damberg into the top seeded position. So with 2 strikes and 1 spare against 1 strike and 2 spares, early advantage to Holger Friedmann. Is he going to go on and win the grand final itself? We'll find out. Welcome back, 3 frames down, 7 to go. Hope my voice can hold out to the end of the tournament. There's 1 or 2 people here in Dresden this weekend struggling with the dreaded winter flu. But not our 2 bowlers contesting the grand final. There's no doubt the lane conditions are changing now and beginning to give the bowlers plenty to think about. We're seeing some big splits. That one popping up in frame 4 to set Holger back in his tracks. And so far, after 4 frames, he hasn't been able to fill behind a strike in the 2nd and 4th frames. A spare behind the first strike ball from the opener. And then a strike in frame 3 is followed by that open frame. 68 for Holger Friedmann after 4 frames. And the left-hander, who hasn't struck now since frame 1. With his own problems to contend with. Also, like Leandersson, using a storm ball for the spare shot. And the left-hander going right across from left to right to take down that 10 pin. Now he needs a strike. Still trailing as we came towards frames 4 and 5, but then helped by Friedmann's open frame. Now that strike sees him moving into the lead. There's 3 spares and 2 strikes in frame 1 and there in frame 5. Trailing by 10, the German. Can't carry the 6-10 this time. See, suddenly there's no consistency in the shot at all. An 8-10 split in the 4th. A strike in frame 3. And he was over on frame 2 with a 4-7 leave. You see this time he's through the head pin and missing the pocket again to leave the 6-10. So suddenly his ball is moving about all over the place as well. Just had 87 through the 5th frame. Needs to find a strike. Nope, can't do it again. It's a 4-pin leave. 87 at the midpoint, as we said. Needs to get up around 200 plus if he can. But still nip and tuck. Doesn't want a second open frame in this grand final. Right on the nose, that's fine. Really finding life tricky out on lane 22. The boy from Mannheim. Now let's see what the left-hander can do on 23, nearest our cameras. And he can't carry the 7-pin. And we're still waiting for our first double here in this grand final from either player. So that shows you how every shot for both these guys has to be thought out. At the end of a final under the TV lights, the oil drying out now and the lane conditions very different to what they were in game 1. Frame 7 for the Swede. This time he does again get his 3rd strike of this match. So again, spare strike. And he had 98 in the 5th. That was a lead of 11 pins. Still a very, very close game. That's what the fans wanted to see at last. Holger finds a strike in the 7th. His first since frame 3. Now, can he double? For the first time from either man, yes, he does. Obviously carrying the crowd's favours, maybe from Mannheim on the other side of the Greater Germany. But the Dresden public are right behind Friedmann now. And the added bonus of 2 strikes back-to-back cuts Damberg's lead to a single pin. Good response, however, from him. Frame 8, and that's his first double. So perhaps just riled a little, raising his game. This is where the title will be won and lost now in frames 9 and 10. Just 2 frames remain after 3 grueling days. 500 players out on the tour this season from 18 nations. Across Europe, they've come from as far afield as the United States, Canada, Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, India, and even Australia. But an all-European final here. Sweden playing Germany. Who do you think the crowd want to win? Both boys with 3 in a row. And Damberg back into an 11-pin lead. That's the perfect pocket shot that Holger just found elusive for the last 3 or 4 frames. So he's into frame 10. He's got to make every shot count now. Unlucky. Unlucky. Nothing wrong with the shot. Could have gone out around 220 with another 3 strikes. Must spare this. Does so. Has one more bonus ball now. His final shot of the tournament. He's come so far, without a major tournament victory to his name. I'm sure plenty will come. I'm sure he'll also be knocking on the door of the national team after this. 9 to finish. Let's add it up. 205. Produced the spare when he needed, but it may not be enough now because the Swede to finish up. And having missed at the top of the 10th, he's working on 3 strikes in a row. 7, 8, and 9 have put him in the position where just a spare will be good enough for the 30-year-old from the city of Gothenburg. And there it is, a strike, never mind the spare. Sweden triumphant once again. Last month it was Per Gustafsson from the Swedish national team. Since that tournament in Hamburg, we've seen the 5-man Swedish formation sweeping all before them in the World Team Championships in Holland. And here we are out again on the road in Dresden on tour stop 2. And once again, atop the rostrum, another Swedish bowler. They come off the production line. They are superb bowlers with a wonderful mental discipline. They practice throughout those long winter months. And here they come south like Viking marauders to carry off the plunder once again. So Johan Damberg, he has looked very, very focused indeed. throughout this grand final. The top seed is going to be a worthy winner at the Elba Park Play Center in Dresden. And a 2-3-7 count carries him through to victory in the end with a ruthless display of power bowling at the finish. He came strong in the second half of the game and wins the tournament by 32 pins from the surprise runner-up Holger Friedmann. In second position, the 24-year-old from Mannheim has announced his arrival in the big time with a tremendous display coming through the pack to put out Olli, Hossi and Tommy Leandersson. The men who didn't make it in front of the TV cameras today, they may do so on another occasion. We'll move forward with coverage from Dresden of the latest final for you on Eurosport. That's our next bowling from the Dresden tour stop. You've plenty of bowling to enjoy over the Christmas period when we bring you this year's AMF World Cup finals from Japan. And then, of course, if you'd like to join us out on the tour itinerary, we will be in Vienna at the end of February. Ari Halm, who finished 8th here this weekend, put some valuable ranking points together and leads from Tommy Leandersson overall. The top 16 men will go forward to contest that Masters final in Lille, France next summer. So once again, we have seen the might of Scandinavian bowling. We've seen a real upset from another young German. At the end of the day, however, it's the blue and gold of Sweden once again that flies high on tour stop number 2. In the men, they really are super strong. Victory to Sweden here today, and Johan Damberg, the runners-up medal, going to Holger Friedmann, and in third place, Tommy Leandersson.
The Golden Bowling Ball Brunswick Tour was presented by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide.